Scrappy friends, it's Paige Evans, and today I want to share how I created this layout. It's called She Loves Birds. It's using a Kerri Bradford studio cut file and my Oh My Heart collection. So I've gone and kind of made these birds from the Birds on a Wire cut file, and you can see how I've placed them into 2x1 sections. These are grids of 1-inch squares, and I also trimmed pattern papers to match these squares. I will show you how I trimmed and placed them. But the birds were not individual in the cut file, so I used the eraser tool just to unattach them from the wire and then grouped them if they were in more than one piece, and then moved them into a new document and figured out how to size them. And then now I'm trimming pattern papers to the same size as they were on that grid in Silhouette Studio. So there were a bunch of 2x1-inch squares and a couple 2x2-inch squares. So I just went through this pattern paper in Oh My Heart. There's 2 of them with all the squares of patterns. And I like how there's lots of colors, there's lots of different patterns, and that's kind of my favorite thing to do in scrapbooking is use those things. Okay, so I'm trimming the squares, trimming the pattern papers, and then I'm going to place them onto the Silhouette mat so it mirrors what it showed in Silhouette Studio. I actually had to redo this on a brand new sticky mat because this mat is fairly old and the papers were moving as it was starting to cut, so it was not cutting cleanly. Had to take it off and redo it on a brand new sticky mat, so that is a tip for you if you're going to do this technique. Since the birds didn't cut all the way out because of how I used the eraser tool, I'm just going in with an X-Acto knife and finishing cutting them out. So you can cut directly onto this mat, it doesn't go through. So that was one less thing I had to worry about. Peeling away the paper, and there are the super cute birds. Ta-da! Oh, forgot to cut a little bit right there. So then gently peel off the birds from the mat. So again, this is a brand new mat. This is the first time I've cut on it. So the birds will peel and be a little dimensional, but that's okay. I like that. Then I'm going to actually cut the whole Birds on a Wire cut file from white textured cardstock 2 times. So this Birds on a Wire cut file, I mirrored it horizontally and then duplicated it a few times down the page. So it created a whole background of birds on a wire. It didn't cut all the way to the edges, so again using an X-Acto knife and just trimming it all the way out. Super fun to watch that. And then gently peel the birds on a wire off the mat. This one cut out a little wonky, so I ended up having to cut it out again. I think I might have accidentally stepped on the mat when it was going through and cutting. That's okay, just cut another one. I thought about building my layout on this pink pattern paper background. I switched to a different background, but right now I'm just piecing the birds back onto their original bird. And each one should have its own. And I love how they're just colorful, pretty, patterned birds. Kind of just want to like frame it as is right now. To add a little bit more depth, I am gluing these birds on a wire to the other birds on a wire that I cut. So I cut 2 of those white cardstock birds on a wire, if you remember. So I'm using liquid adhesive, applying it to the back of the one that has the pattern paper birds on top. And then I'm going to carefully place it on top. It's nice to use liquid glue because it doesn't set instantly. If you didn't place it on top exactly, you can kind of fudge it around, move it around a little bit until it's exactly on top. So do that for all 4 sections of Birds on a Wire. And here is where I switched to the different backgrounds. This is from Oh My Heart as well. It's got a whole bunch of little colorful hearts. And I'm using my liquid glue once again to glue them onto the background. So everything kind of blends in a bit, right? It's lots of color, lots of white. So to help help the birds on a wire stand out, I'm going to come in with an American Crafts .05 black precision pen, and I'm going to outline all of the birds on a wire. Quick tip, some of the liquid glue had seeped from under the edges, and that made the marker not work so good. So I wouldn't use very much adhesive, or I would wait until it was completely dry so that you don't run into the same problem. So you can see I'm just going slow. Slow and steady wins the race, and here's where I had gone over some glue and needed to, I just tried making it work again on scratch paper. If some of the parts aren't as dark, you can just go over it a few times so it's all consistent. So do that for all sections of the birds on a wire, and then I'm going to create the title. It's going to say She Loves Birds using the Oh My Heart thickers. I'd like to layer them on top of each other a little bit, so to help them stay in place permanently rather than using dimensional adhesive or glue dots, I'm just going to run them through my sewing machine really quick. My daughter is seriously obsessed with birds. She's gotten into some scary situations before where she'll like run out into the middle of a busy street trying to chase pigeons. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm fussy cutting 3 birds from that pattern paper, and I'm going to add one above each of the words in the title. Trying to bring out that periwinkle blue. It's perfect for that photo. She's on like a cement sidewalk, but it matches the periwinkle blue. Adding a chipboard bird sticker and a scalloped washi sticker. Think I want my journaling right there. Looks good, so I go over it with a pen, pointing out where I stitched over the title. And there's a little bit of excess hanging off the edges from the birds on a wire, so I'm just trimming those off. And then the last step will be to add some stamping. So there's a stamp set in Oh My Heart. I'm using the trio of hearts and some black Stays-On ink. Testing it out on some scratch paper. Well, actually, this is the notepad that comes in the stamp set. Decided to stamp it on the bottom left corner, and it actually came off my acrylic block. So just lift it up and you're good to go. So I hope you are inspired to try using this Birds on a Wire cut file from the amazing Kerri Bradford and pair it with the Oh My Heart collection with pink paisley. Thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely day.